What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Military Mortgage Advisors. Today, Zach and I are with one of our fantastic realtors, Katrina. Katrina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm doing fantastic. So Katrina covers Colorado Springs. Are there any other areas you hit? Do you go to Pueblo, up to Denver?
I do. I cast a pretty wide net. I originally lived in Denver, so I dabble up there, but the bulk of my business is definitely in Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and then up into Teller County.
Awesome. Okay. Um, so tell us a little bit, what are you seeing in the Springs market? I know we have, tons of military bases here. So lots of people PCSing. There's a lot going on.
We are busy, which I feel like is one of the really positive things about Colorado Springs. We've got, 5 military installations, right? Colorado Springs is huge. So from the north side of town, when you get like the Air Force Academy, all the way east out to Schriever and Peterson, and then down to Fort Carson and Cheyenne Mountain, there's just so much capacity for military here, right? And so that keeps our market genuinely healthy through the varying seasons of real estate. But with that said, the market is weird right now. Like there are weeks where things move really quick. There are weeks where it's really slow, weeks where there's opportunity and weeks where there's not. And so just finding that sweet spot and managing expectations around what's going on at varying times of the month, I think has really set buyers and sellers up for success.
I think a lot of people are kind of seeing that right now. The Army changed who they're using for the moving service, and I think that kind of has PCS delayed a little bit.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the Army is doing that, the Air Force is doing that, Space Force is doing that. Everything's just kind of um a little bit different than in past years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Zach, what do you got? Questions?
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned, we're in a unique market to where some days it feels like things are moving really fast, really slow. But what are you seeing for average days on market for a home in the Colorado Springs area?
Yeah, last month, so the average days on market in April was right around 46 days. So realistically, I mean, it's still a relatively short amount of time on the market, even though people are still coming out of the idea that we are in that 2021 market where things need to move really fast. I mean, 46 days is still moving relatively quick, just a little bit of a different timeline.
hmm Yeah. And I mean, 46 days, or like you mentioned, it's not anything crazy, but what would you say is the big benefit when we're seeing homes sit a little bit longer on market than what I would say was not the normal, but people became accustomed to those quick, fast moving transactions? What do you see in the benefit of homes sitting on the market longer from the buyer's perspective?
From a buyer, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. The longer a home sits on the market, I mean, there's a few reasons that that happens, right? It could be overpriced, it could be in really poor condition. There are factors that are obviously steering buyers away. They could have put it on and the marketing wasn't solid, so it could have just fallen by the wayside. But where I think there's a lot of benefit for the buyer is when they come in because there's negotiations to be had, knowing where the home is priced, what the value is, knowing that you're not competing for it. There's opportunity to get concessions. There's opportunity to get inspection items. There's opportunity to really feel like you're getting a good deal when purchasing that property.
Gotcha. Because I think people don't realize when we were in that hot and heavy market, there was no room for negotiations. And
So,
I'm not sure buyers understand what we mean when we say negotiation. So could you dive into like what could you as a realtor negotiate for a buyer in our current market compared to what you couldn't do just a few years ago?
yeah. A few years ago, you were really looking at take it or leave it. It was you go, you see the house. You were lucky if you got an inspection. You surely were not going to ask for any inspection items. It would really be for information only at that point because the demand was so high. It was just absolutely insane, right? Now we're in a place where the buyer and seller really need to work together to procure to procure a contract that they're both satisfied with, right? It's a lot more balanced. And with that, as when you step into a position like that as an agent, one, right, super critical to know what the market climate is a few years ago versus the present and versus where things are going. So it's really important to work with somebody who's educated on just how the real estate market moves specifically in Colorado Springs because it's so unique. But a few of the things that we negotiate, right? We're negotiating price. We're pulling good comparable homes. We want to know what value it's going to appraise at so that there are no surprises. We're negotiating inspection items. What is normal wear and tear that you remedy once you get moved in and get settled? And what's something more serious? What is your insurance not going to cover? What do you want to ask your insurance for, right? And so when you come in, you want a really clear picture of what's going on with the house as far as the pricing strategy and the condition of the home. And then you want to know what you need to negotiate from there. So really pricing, I guess, is the best thing. And then inspection items so that you feel really confident in the product that you are procuring.
Gotcha. Yeah, and kind of like you mentioned, those were things that people couldn't get just a
No.
long time ago,
Oh
or
my
not
gosh.
that long ago, sorry.
Yeah, no, we were seeing appraisal gaps. So even if a home was worth $500,000, somebody would come in and offer 600,000 and offer to pay $100,000 in cash. They didn't care about the home's value. And that is just simply not something that we're seeing in today's market. We're really seeing that kind of recalibrate. Buyers want to know that they're getting what they pay for and that the price is justified.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely, from the lending perspective, I'm seeing buyers be able to take the time to get their inspection through. We are holding off on ordering the appraisal until they are 100% through inspection and negotiating any
100%.
repairs from the inspection. When before it was, you're getting your inspection, you're not asking for any repairs, your appraisal's being ordered, and you are just going, like you said, take it or leave it. And now I think a lot of that power in our specific Colorado Springs area, Fort Carson, Schriever Air Force or Space Force Base, all this, people are able to get those concessions, those repairs done. And it could be big, like, if a septic system has to be replaced. I mean, you tell me how much is that average cost for a buyer to get a new septic system?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many factors that would play into
Right.
that. But it costs a lot. Does it need to be replaced? Does it just need to be hydrojetted? Like, does it just need some patching or does it need to be excavated? Right. But you can have those conversations and you can postpone closing and you can figure out if you can get money for it or if you're terminating, based on significant problems that are found.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, that's definitely the benefit that we are seeing in our market, those concessions, negotiating power, giving it back to the consumer, getting repairs done. I think a lot of people, whether they haven't bought a home before, they really don't understand what can be negotiated at that point and how it has changed. So it's really giving that power back to that first time home buyer or even an experienced home buyer of this is what you can get in today's market compared to if you bought a home during the COVID era. You didn't have that ability.
Yep. 100%.
Mhm. Well, awesome, awesome. So, what I like to also ask is, hey, if I was a military family looking at moving to the Springs area, what are some areas that we could kind of check out that's maybe within a 20-30 minute drive, whether it's Carson, Peterson Space Force Base, or Schriever Space Force Base? And I mean, we also have NORAD in the military academy. So we kind of have a
Yeah.
trifecta of areas. But yeah, if you could just highlight a couple areas that may be close proximity to a couple bases, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So Colorado Springs is so vast and it's so important to know what's important to you as a buyer, right? Are you wanting somewhere with tons of hiking trails? Is there a school district you're targeting? Do you want to be close to, restaurants? And it's such an eclectic variety of what the entire city offers. But within 20, 30 minutes to Fort Carson, and a lot of these other military installations, they're really set up around our entire community. I would say if you're coming into Fort Carson, hands down the most popular area to be is Strathmore. It's so close. It's like 5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes to Post, right? And so it's a really easy commute. There's a variety of housing. And you get all of the amenities that are offered on the west side of Colorado Springs. You're at the base of the mountains. It's gorgeous. If you push a little bit more east, you're going to land in Fountain. And Fountain is is also eclectic in the way that there's very country style living, there's established homes, there's new builds. There's just a lot of opportunity, super close. What is that, 10, 15 minutes over to Post. So it sets you a little bit farther away. They're really set up more like master plan style communities there. And so there's different opportunity. And then you can push east or you can push north. And so if you're pushing even farther east, there are a couple of communities along the backside of Colorado Springs, and you're going to find Falcon and Peyton. That's going to push closer probably to 30, 35 minutes pending traffic. It's great for shift workers if you're there before the morning rush and leaving prior to that 4 to 5 p.m. rush. So when you push back, it gets you definitely a little bit more country. It gets you District 49 schools. It's huge. It's very east side prairie of Colorado Springs living. And then another opportunity, if this is too much, just cut me off because I love talking about all things that are offered here. And then if you want to push a little bit more north, you land in Briargate. And again, you get such varying price points, which really opens the door to a lot of shoppers, but you're getting shopping, you're getting parks, you're getting District 20 schools. I know there's a lot of people that PCS in that here, we want to be in District 20. That's important. That's where the schools are. That's where everybody recommends. And if that's where you're feeling drawn to, there's just a ton of opportunity. It's going to be a 30, 35 minute commute. It's going to be a highway drive down to Fort Carson. And then that will land you into District 20.
It seems like District 20 is a very sought out school district in our area, and 49, is that correct?
Yeah, they are. Everybody, whenever you're moving in, each family knows their children best, and they know what their needs are. When you push into District 20, you've got Children's Hospital there. And what I've heard from my clients is within that district, they have found varying opportunities for kids with dyslexia or needing additional needs. And so the feedback I've gotten from my clients is, hey, we've found the most support there. And so sometimes when that gets talked about between other spouses and they're like, hey, my child has the same needs, that tends to be a district that's thrown out a lot within the military community.
Okay, that's good to know.
Huh.
Well, awesome. And kind of end this on a high note, I really like to talk about one cool thing that families can check out in our city. I think the biggest concern with moving is, right, what is there to do? What is a friendly thing? So what is something that you enjoyed or that you would recommend to a family that is looking just for some insight on our area?
Yeah. So if you are PCSing to the Springs, 10 out of 10, I recommend getting a zoo membership. You will use it. You will love it. We've got one of the top 3 zoos in the country. There's a ton to do. And they also host birthday parties. And so that's super fun if you have little kids that are into animals. So definitely a zoo membership. And then also we've got the World Arena here now and Ford Amphitheater actually. And so the World Arena, you're going to get concerts, comedy shows, you're going to get events for kids like Disney on Ice. And so there's just a lot of opportunity to have a lot of fun with your kids, get outside or see a show.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, the zoo is definitely fantastic. I don't have kids and I go all the time. So
Yeah, make a whole afternoon of it. They have
Yeah.
adult seating. They have that restaurant up by the cafeteria there that's definitely geared more towards adults. They've got the bar in there. They've got good food. And so even if you're just kind of going for the vibe for a date day or whatever, there's a lot to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Katrina. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us a little bit about your area. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
All right.
Do we stay on or do I?
Yeah, just stay on.
Okay.
Do you end the recording?